if this is the way it's going to end, then this is the way it should end. And if Baker Mayfield expects, even before any of this happens, if Baker Mayfield expects to be, I'll go less, Mike, if he expects to be 38 or 40 million per year in a long-term deal, it's a pipe dream. You've just got to say, if you really are going to let this destroy you as a player, whatever, we're not going to sign you long-term. I mean, the smartest thing to me coming into this and knowing, if indeed Baker Mayfield was angry that he wasn't going to get a new deal, the smartest thing would have been to say, all right, look, we guarantee we won't franchise you. So in 2022, that Baker Mayfield would be playing for 32 teams. Now, I don't think 31, because I do think that, if the Browns were still interested, who knows what happens in the next few months. But I would rather have a guy who's supremely motivated to play great, because then my franchise is going to benefit by that. And again, look, this could be, the end game here. If Deshaun Watson signs with the Atlanta Falcons and the Browns don't get or can't get Matt Ryan, because let's say he goes to the Colts, I have no idea what will happen to Matt Ryan. But if that's what happens, then so be it. But you've got to have stability at the quarterback position. You can't have a tornado. And right now, to me, I just think emotions are frayed, emotions are high. Let's let things settle down for a little while.
And I think at the end of the day, the reason the Browns don't want to bring him back at $18.8 million this year, they recognize if he has a great year, if he channels all of this frustration into motivation and goes out and plays really well, and the Browns get back to the playoffs, then they're stuck. Then they have to keep him, because then the fan base is going to be saying, Baker's our guy again. Yes. Then you give him a huge contract, and what happens? He regresses in 2023. And this up and down, good year, bad year, good year, bad year, that is not the stuff of a franchise quarterback. So I think the Browns would prefer to just move on. That's why I was surprised that they declined his trade request, although I just don't believe it. I believe they're still going to trade him. They're either trying to provoke him, or they're trying to preserve trade leverage, or a little bit of both. I think that they don't go down the path. If they view him as immature, they don't go down the path of trying to get Deshaun Watson and expect him to react maturely. You go down that path knowing you are torpedoing your relationship with Baker Mayfield. He's never going to be your quarterback again, and it's just a matter of how it works out. If they didn't go into the Watson pursuit accepting that very real possibility, if not reality, then they're stupid. Then they don't have a chief strategy officer. There is no strategy. It's just, let's see what happens. And I don't think the Browns operate that way.
I don't either, but I also think you can't let the feelings of a quarterback who you think it's 50-50 at best is going to be your long-term quarterback, and that's at best. You can't let that dictate what you're going to try to do to make your team better. I find zero fault with the Cleveland Browns over this. Zero. I mean, and look, I mean, replay everything I said in the first hour about how incredibly distasteful it is, all these teams falling all over themselves to chase Deshaun Watson. So that has to be a part of this. But when you're not sure who your long-term quarterback is, and there's a top 5 quarterback in the league out there that you think there's a good chance we're going to be interested in this guy, to not go after him is general manager malfeasance. And all these people criticizing Andrew Berry right now, they ought to think, what would I do if I was the general manager of a team? Stick with a guy who I know is pissed off at us anyway, whether he's going to be our quarterback or not, or try to get a severely damaged top 5 quarterback in the NFL who could, after all this is said and done, for the next 10 years, have us in serious playoff contention every year. And Mike, I think people look at the results of what happened and say Andrew Berry's an idiot. The Browns are amateurs. They look at the results. But let's go 2 weeks ago, and you tell me, just tell me, sit in the Browns' offices and have a discussion. Listen in on their discussion. Would you say that if you heard Andrew Berry said, I don't want to risk angering our quarterback, who a year from now, there's a 60-40 chance won't be our quarterback. I don't want to risk angering this guy, so we're not going to go after a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It's insanity. Think, people, think.
Well, I think the bottom line is they're done with Baker Mayfield, and it just, as I said earlier, is a matter of how the details play out moving forward. Is it the Colts? Is it the Seahawks? Is it the Falcons? Is it someone else that ends up coming after Baker Mayfield? Because he's shown enough when healthy and performing at an acceptable level and getting proper coaching and listening to it, he's shown that he can play really well. You know, the truth here is, whatever the reason, contract or whatever, we've seen enough flashes of it publicly to come to the conclusion that he's been a huge pain in the ass for the Browns behind the scenes. And they've had enough. Kevin Stefanski doesn't want it. The organization doesn't want it. And they're looking for someone else. And my guess is, as they pivot from Deshaun Watson, they're going to find some other option to play quarterback, whether it's long-term or short-term. It's going to be someone other than Baker Mayfield. I think at this point it has to be.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.